Okay, I need to come clean with a few things or talk about a few things generally. I am someone who is genuinely about hard work. But the hard work that I've been saying I've been putting in, I just been doing it wrong, in my opinion. I have been putting in the work by focusing and fixating on the process and not focusing on the outcome that's necessary. Alex Hormozy says, your inputs are what matter, but consistent and strong inputs will result into consistent, strong outcomes, but crappy inputs will result into crappy outcomes. He also states in another quote that if you focus solely on getting the outcome that you want, the inputs would follow that outcome on getting to that outcome, of course. But if you fixate on the inputs so much that it's not getting you anywhere to the outcome on the process. Like, let's say you're a designer. Designers will probably know this the most, or anybody really. When you're, let's say, if you're cold calling or designing, you're designing something like, let's say it's a button, and all it really needs is just a quick thing just to get it out the way, and then you focus on the rest. But you're so focused on designing this button, let's say in Figma, or I mean, I use Figma, so you're focused on designing the button and making it super amazing when you could take all that energy and put it into the rest of the thing and then touch up on it later, because though you will know how to fix those individually. It's time consuming, but focus on the main process. That's going to get you to where you want to go. Or let's say if you're cold calling, you're so fixated and focused on your tone and your the exact words you're using, and you're not even focusing about, you're not even hearing what the client is saying. You're just trying to get, you're just so fixated, for example, on your script. Like whatever your script says, you go by it directly. You could get something that shifts out the way, like if they say, oh, I'm not interested, but let me call you later, and if it's not on the script to what to respond to, you're so fixated that you're like, okay, bye. You're not thinking like, oh, how can I, okay, let me think of ways where I can optimize this to get to them to sign with me, for example. And I've been working hard on fixating, which sometimes is a good thing. Sometimes, for example, if you're writing a book, for example, or if you're I'll first start with the writing the book, because I said I want to make my video structured. If you're writing a book, let's say, if in but you're a bad writer, it's probably better to learn how to write in a structured paragraph each time, rather than just trying to write something that's going to go wishy-washy, right? But if you already know if you have decent structure, then just write the dang book and then come back to it later, what you need to fix, kind of thing, right? Or back to the designing aspect. If you are so crappy at making the buttons, but everything else works, then do everything. And then once you get to the buttons, fixate on that the most, because then that's what you will do better in. And after you get better and better and better at that, because you already established the base, that's only one thing you need to work on. And then that will become natural, if that makes sense. So I feel like I need to do more of that and just more of the actual work than the other things to work with. And something that I see all of us can do, whether the people who are most focused and people who are not, everyone's going to be different. But I even see it with one of the biggest, the Diary CEO, Steven. He was saying some like, it made me realize that people that are consistent and work hard also have off days, or not necessarily off days, but they have days where they are not in it. And I've just been thinking about it recently, like, what is it that is making me feel like, oh, I'm not doing enough? But then I realized these people also do the same thing. They have the same thing, but they just are consistent regardless of what they feel. And I've said this before: do the work regardless of how you feel. But Alex Ramosi said it in a new podcast with Modern Wisdom with Chris William, and he was basically saying the same thing: is that he works exactly the way he needs to work, no matter what he feels, to the bare minimum. And the bare minimum, let's say every day I 100% can send out 50 emails. Maybe one day it takes me so much to do 50, and then the next day I can do like 150. Or maybe one day I'm so down that it maybe takes 40, but I'm in that range of that 50, but at least I did around the bare minimum or whatever extra, right? So pat yourselves on the back when you need to, but don't overly do it to the point where you don't push yourself. And I feel like that's kind of what I've been doing. Alhamdulillah, like I can say, I've been focused a lot more in the gym, and I push myself consistently, and I'm finding better ways, and I can see my body changing. Alhamdulillah, but I'm trying to apply that in other areas because again, I've said this before. What you do in one area, you'll do in everything. The way you handle one thing is the way you'll handle everything. So if you're slacking on cleaning your room, but you're trying to be focused at school and trying to be focused at working out and be focused, like you might be focused in certain areas a little bit more than another, but you're still not all the way there. If that's your goal, let's say if you don't care about your room, but you're focused on your work, then fine. A lot of people are different, but that kind of says like the way you handle one thing is the way you handle everything, if that makes sense. So I'm trying to handle everything with a push. I'm trying to push myself. It's just computer work distracts me. I realized, and I watched Iman Ghazi talk about it, is he doesn't use two monitors. He only uses one because two is overly distracting. And some people can work on two, some people can't. I sometimes can work on two, but then I get distracted on the second one. Sometimes I like to let a video play and I just focus on my work. That can also mess me up. So I've been only today. I'm only saying this just for today. I don't know if I did it yesterday, but today I put it on one screen and I felt a little more focused than usual. So I'm gonna continue that. So yeah, inshallah, I want to end this year with a bang. I want to start making, and I want to start pushing myself. Another thing too is I want to have a conversation, especially with my mom, because obviously she's my moon and stars. That's my life. She's what I do everything for. But I want to communicate with her that I don't want to at least do another term of school. Maybe take a pause or just not go at all. I want to focus on the business. I go to school. Sometimes I might have fun learning. Rarely ever. I just feel like I'm going there to just do paperwork, fill it out, and just please the grader. Pretty much. I don't feel like I'm genuinely learning. The knowledge goes out my brain. For me personally, that's kind of how I see things. But um, I might have to for the first term and see where that kind of goes because if I'm being 100% honest, I have not been putting strong work on like what I said earlier. I have been putting on hard work, but just not in the right areas and not in the right because I don't know if you guys listen to as well the podcast with Modern Wisdom and Hamza. Hamza goes all in on one thing and then he thinks that's the complete way and there's no other way. I'm the same way in certain areas where I'm so fixated and that's the only way and that's the only way it could go and this, that, and the other, or just maybe in general in work or gym or something like that, where I don't put that in everything and then it just kind of goes everywhere. So like I'll be so focused on my prayer and on my religion, on my salat, and then I become so strict to the point where it's like suffocating, where I'm not taking a breather and it's ruining everything else. And then with my work, and then with instead of doing that with each one with open mind, but also straightforward and I saw a post that said work, learn, work, learn, work, learn. And I need to do more of that is learn, work, learn, work, learn, work rather than just work, 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 work without any learning because then it gets too repetitive. I don't feel like I'm actually putting too much like, you know, that's why I say I get so fixated. I learn a little bit and then I just go with all of that and I don't like I try to optimize every time, let's say, especially on my code calls. I try to pay attention more and more videos coming out, inshallah, with those code calls. But yeah, I feel like Alhamdulillah I had a structured talk today, but yeah, that's the end of today's video. Inshallah, you guys have a good one. Those are just my thoughts. Comment down below whatever you guys may think, your guys' inputs, and Assalamu alaikum.